Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Community Keys, where our mission is to spotlight the Impact Theory community members, where they come from, how they got here, and where they're headed. So please welcome our special guest today, Jared Paul, who is into health and crypto related things. Back in high school and college, he used to run, and he's now into lifting. He also works at a financial planning firm and is expanding his experiences into crypto and impact theory. How are you, Jared?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
Pretty good myself. So if you could just help out and give the audience as well as myself a little introduction about where you come from, like your environment and your childhood and stuff like that.
Yeah, you want the background story. Okay. So born and raised in Albany, New York, where I currently am. I left here to go to college in Boston. I went to Northeastern University. I was there in Boston for about 10 years to the day from when I first moved. And then I was working for after school for a while, and then got relocated down to the New York City area for like a corporate 500 company, doing sales and stuff like that in the finance world. Did that for a while down in the New York City area, then started to travel. I started my own financial planning firm a number of years ago. Bounced around, lived in South America for a bit, Central America, back up to the US. I've been in Albany for the last 3 or 4 years or so. This is where most of my family is,
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've been doing that. Big fan of like all stuff entrepreneurship. Close buddy of mine, Ben Cooper, who he and I, started the Modz Cheer thing with the ornaments and stuff like that for Merry Modz and Impact Theory. So we've been doing businesses for years. We love that stuff. We love building. So we're always looking for like new fun projects to do, new things to learn about. Always reading books, watching interviews, podcasts, all that fun stuff. So after a while, I heard about crypto and the space, years ago. Obviously, like most people, probably read about Bitcoin back in like 2011, or I can't remember exactly, but a while ago. Didn't really do much back then. And then over the years, just kind of like dabbled a little bit. This past spring in May, about May is like the first entry into like the world of NFTs, where I was like fortunate enough to buy some befriend.
Hey.
So I got a befriend from Gary Vee, and that was purely based off of like my following of Gary Vee and being a fan of his, and he talking about NFTs a lot. I didn't really know exactly what was going on in the space back then, exactly how much it was growing and exploding and stuff, nor did I have like at that point the foresight to see like how well befriends would do, but I was lucky enough to buy one. And then I kind of put on hold. I had some cryptocurrencies, some different things like that. I was kind of playing around. Then the summer came around and I started to get more and more deep into the crypto and NFT space. And my buddy Ben and I kind of went down the rabbit hole together, doing a ton of research, learning about everything. We started to like buy up more and more NFTs and learn about projects. And then eventually we found our way to Impact Theory. I've known Tom Bilyeu and Impact Theory for a number of years now. And so we had like kind of a similar thing to Gary Vee, like knew like his background in business and things like that. Had faith in like what Tom was doing, and then learned more and more about it. As we dove deeper and started to read about like the roadmap and the key utilities, my buddy Ben and I were like, well, darn, like this is one of the most well thought out projects we've seen. And we've looked at hundreds at that point. And not to mention like Tom and the team have already had success in other business ventures, right? So like they have a proven track record. So that's what kind of led us to, we ended up buying, Legendary Keys, got the Heroics, got some Relentless, and then the Merry Modz recently, right? And so that's where we were. And then, fast forward to, we got really excited about it. I know a lot of people in the community were talking about, ways to help promote like the projects and to kind of stir up more PR and things like that. And we were talking about like different, products and things like that. And that's when we launched, the website modzcheer.com. And, so right now it's got ornaments, wrapping paper, beanies, pretty cool. So it's fun. It's been pretty well received so far. So all good stuff. That's kind of where where I am today. And to your point, I think you mentioned like running. Ben and I both ran track and field at Northeastern. He was a sprinter. I was a distance runner. I was a miler and steeplechase runner. So been doing sports my whole life. So yeah.
So yeah, you covered like everything, which I love. So but I got some like questions to like all over the place. So I'm gonna kind of just go for it.
Let's go.
So like back when what got you into like, or like for long distance running and that type of stuff, what was like the most challenging aspects of that? And then also like what was the most fun part of that?
Of distance running.
Or just running and health related things?
Well, I would say those are two different things. So like running in particular, I have been doing sports my entire life. I was very active when I was young, like a little kid. Since elementary school or junior high, I was a 3-sport athlete, bounced around, played a lot of sports from cross country to football, soccer. I wrestled, indoor track, lacrosse, all throughout high school. So I did a lot. Yeah, I did a lot. I just like to try new things. So, and I was like very competitive. So I always like to try new things and like work and get really good at them. Distance running is interesting because I think the thing about that is, certainly there's an element of like natural ability and talent as there is to everything.
It's a lot of mental.
Yeah, but exactly. Mental is the thing about distance running where, everyone could probably run faster than they did. It's very rare that you ran like your absolute best, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like how much pain are you willing to endure, right? And I think that's like the thing that was interesting, and certainly makes it difficult for some people.
And then for you, where did your competitive aspects come from? Because I'm also, I come from a very competitive family, so that's kind of where it rubbed off on me. But for you, where did that like stem from?
I'm one of 4 siblings, right? I have an older brother, a younger brother, younger sister. Our grandmother and was very like involved and motivated us to do well, especially like I still am close with her. And so she would always push to like, do well, work hard, push hard, and
like do your best.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I just loved competition. So, it worked well with sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. And then you also mentioned that you like traveled and lived in South America, correct? So yeah. Like, how was it being in like a different culture? Since I've only grew up in New Jersey, but I love learning about different people's experiences all over the place. So like, how was that different from like Boston and from traveling and stuff like that?
Yeah. So, I feel like I was fortunate enough, my first time I traveled internationally was in high school. I think I was in 10th grade, and our varsity lacrosse team went to the UK, went to England on like a 10-day trip. It was a lacrosse trip, right? But we played 2 games over 10 days and just like went around and saw like museums and the countryside and roller coaster. It was like it was a cool trip. So that was the first international trip I did, and I kind of caught the bug. I've been to Europe at least a handful of times, Central South America, all around North America. So I've been to probably like a few dozen countries. And I lived in South America, in Colombia, in Medellin for about 4 months, and then in Panama for a few weeks, in Costa Rica. So I have friends from those different countries. And I've also been very fascinated with other cultures as well. When I was at Northeastern, I was in some international business classes, and I became really good friends with all the exchange students. So I always hang out like at the international exchange student parties, and there's like people from Spain, Germany, Ireland, UK, like everywhere, right? And so I got very interconnected with all of them. I started learning Spanish because I was really fascinated. Well, I would hang out with a lot of the Spanish guys, and at one of my internships while at Northeastern, half the division was Spanish speaking in the supply chain division.
So you're just like around them all the time.
Well, it just pissed me off. I couldn't understand what they were saying all the time. So I was like, I wanted to be like involved in what was being talked about. So I just started learning on my own. I never really took formal classes really. Mm-hmm. And over the years, I'm pretty conversational right now. I'm not like fluent, but I can like hold a conversation in Spanish. Yeah. So like I've always been intrigued, and that's kind of what led me to living in South America. When I left my former corporate job and started my own business, I didn't need to be anywhere specifically. So I was like, all right, this is a good opportunity to go live somewhere while I'm kind of building up the infrastructure.
For sure.
And I was looking around, and people recommended Medellin. It's actually like one of the top 10 rated like destinations for digital nomads and expatriates in the world. So it's great. I mean, cost of living is super cheap. They've got high-speed internet. It's all the things you need. Yep. It's beautiful there all the time. It's called the City of Eternal Spring, because it's in a valley. So like really the climate is like always beautiful between like 65 and 85. So yeah.
So you seem like really curious about like different cultures and everything like that, and also competitive. So that brought you into like business. I'm guessing like kind of those two things combined. So like what you mentioned that you did like sales, you do finance, and then you were also into entrepreneurship. So is that how you found Gary Vee and like Tom Bilyeu? And also like what aspects of business do you think you like are attracted to the most?
For sure. I think I found my way to like Gary Vee and Tom just because I have a big appetite for like education and personal development. So I'm always reading books. I'm always reading, listening to podcasts, reading articles, right? So I feel like people who are in the world of entrepreneurship and they are focused on personal development and growth are eventually going to find their way to Gary Vee, and like a Gary Vee and a Tom Bilyeu, right? You're going to like eventually, if you're doing enough, you're going to find your way there. Yeah. So that's kind of where I think, I don't know exactly, I can't tell you the exact year. I mean, I've known about the guys for at least a handful of years. I don't know if it was 2016, 15, whatever it was, that I've been following them. And what I guess intrigues me about business is, you know, actually, it was funny. I was at the gym this morning and I was talking to this girl I know, actually, who's coincidentally from Colombia. She's here, like an exchange program. And we were chatting about different things. I was talking about business and I was telling her, like, I've been working a lot recently. And I was like, well, it's fun though. Like, I look at business as like a big game, right? It's all like points and like, you know, like it's a big game. There's levers to pull on, buttons to push, and like strategies. And going back to the whole competitive thing, I mean, that's what it really is. So if you can kind of game,
I resonate a lot with that.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
well, that's really cool. So then like, you talked a lot about the utility roadmap of impact theory being way more thought out and everything like that. So why did you choose to like get more invested into it and also start up Merry Cheer?
Modz Cheer.
Modz Cheer. Sorry.
No worries. Well, I was talking to Ben, my buddy Ben, business partner, about this the other day. And it's funny, like, as we've gone deeper into the impact theory founders key community and Modz and Merry Modz, and the more interaction we have with Tom and the team and learn more about like their vision for the future, every time I look back at the key utility maps and the roadmaps, I'm like more excited. Because I feel like when you first look at it, it's just a lot, and a lot of it you don't really understand. You just know, like, you kind of understand, like, okay, this looks cool. But then when you start to hear like more about the deeper thought process on like what's potentially coming down the pipeline, then I'm like, oh wow, like, oh, this thing over here could be really cool. And what about this thing? So you look at those utility maps and you're like, wow, like this stuff. When you kind of step back, I'm like even more excited about the different parts of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of like why I got really excited, because some of these NFT projects, actually a lot of them, you know, they have like roadmaps, but it's like, they're just BS roadmaps. Like, they just say they're going to do stuff. And some of them don't really even say they're going to do a lot of stuff. It's like, they're just going to like release ether to the community, and they're going to like promote and try and pay influencers. So it's all like hype driven, which is like fine. Like, it helps, like, for people who are looking to flip, you need some hype. But I think Tom's been pretty articulate about these being long-term visions and long-term game plans, and all of the things on those utility roadmaps and the overall impact theory founders key roadmaps, it aligns with a long-term vision. And so when I look at that, like, Ben and I are both long-term thinkers. You know, we want success now, of course, but like, we're also looking at it long-term and how do we develop things. And I think that's what Tom is doing, is trying to build a ecosystem that is going to stand the test of time for 20, 30, 40 years versus some project that, I mean, I've been in projects where you see them skyrocket and you see them drop right back down. So you're just hoping that you sold near or at the peak, right? Yeah. And that's it, you know.
For sure. Long term is way more sustainable just overall in terms of like
everything,
just like sustainability. And also Tom is like promising to deliver on every single thing that's on the roadmap already. It's like things that they've already been working on, have plans for, have teams behind it and everything like that, which is the really cool thing. And then his vision, like you were mentioning, with like AR, VR, that type of stuff, where that can all go, just mind boggling. So, but yeah, so before the last question, would you be able to tell us a little bit more about Modz Cheer?
Yeah, so I mean, Modz Cheer is live right now. People can go to www.modzcheer.com, and it's real simple. I mean, the products are up there. We've got ornaments, wrapping paper, and beanies, like winter hats right now, that they all have, like, they're correlated to the Merry Modz as well as the founder's key. So if you have a legendary key, heroic, relentless, you can get stuff that matches up to that. If you have stuff with Merry Modz, you want like the Don't Mess with Christmas or Snowbow and that type of stuff, we've got the wrapping paper and stuff. We were just excited about the project overall. Like, Ben and I, when we start talking and strategizing and diving deeper, we just like, it's like a flywheel, right? And we keep backing and we get excited about stuff. So, we are vested in these projects too. We own founders keys. We own Merry Modz. We have like full sets of founders key. Like we want the projects to succeed as well. We're not worried about it this month, but we want them to succeed overall. So we're also running a social media contest and a giveaway. So anyone who buys any item from the website, just any one item, gets you an entry into our giveaway. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be raffling off NFTs specific to these projects, right? Because we want it to be like a reciprocal thing for this community. And so we're starting off, no matter how many we sell, we're going to auction off at least, or raffle off at least 3 Merry Modz NFTs. If we hit 1,000 items sold, we're going to do 10 total Merry Modz. If we hit 2,000 total items sold, we're going to raffle off 5 Relentless keys as on top. These all stack. If we hit 4,000, we're going to do 3 heroic keys. And if we hit 8,000 items sold, we're going to raffle off a legendary key. So we're going to take any type of profits back from that and just kind of reinvest it into the community. So any item people buy, they get an entry. So if you buy like 5 items, you get 5 entries. And on top of that, we're going to do a social media contest. So anyone who buys stuff, if you post on Twitter a picture of you and like whatever you get, and you tag like us and Merry Modz and you're following us, it gets you an additional entry into the giveaway. So once again, like trying to get more of this out on social media, not just, so of course the people in Discord know about these projects, but like, how do we get it to our broader community so that we all know? So 100%. hopefully it's all like reciprocal, right? This all kind of goes back and forth and builds the whole
positive feedback loop.
Exactly.
See, I love the initiative that you and your friend are taking, and just like how the community, like in this community specifically, is just like trying to give back, doing all of these different types of things to not only bring like more community aspects, but also to spread the word and that type of stuff. So really grateful that you're taking the initiative to do this type of thing. So
it's also really awesome. Like it's a very positive community too, right? So we just recently launched it and it's gotten great feedback from everybody, from yourself, from people like Shay and others in the community have been like super excited and impressed, and we've already been getting orders and stuff like that, and people are excited about the social media contest and being able to kind of like get more PR and marketing for because people in the community own Merry Modz, right? So they want it to be promoted, Exactly. So it's like you said, it's a positive feedback loop for everybody. I think hopefully it's a win-win-win all around, and it can, kind of help the community overall.
Yeah, so that's awesome. And then now we'll go into like the last question I have for all of the guests that come on the show is What is one lesson that you would like to teach? What is one lesson that you would want to teach your younger version of yourself or your kids that had a tremendous impact on your life trajectory?
One lesson for my younger self. I would say be focused. I think like it's good you want to like really broaden your horizons on like the things you're learning as far as from an educational standpoint. But I think when you're first like starting off, there are so many opportunities. So sometimes I feel like for myself, at least, earlier on when I first started getting into entrepreneurship, it's kind of like the shiny objects syndrome. So like, you're trying to do too much at once. And, if you're a Tom Bilyeu or a Gary Vaynerchuk, right, you've got a lot of resources, you've got a team, you've got all this stuff to help you do a million things at once, right? You can delegate. If you're young and you have limited resources and you're just starting off and maybe it's just you, right? Well, then like there's a limitation on what you can accomplish. Like certainly you can accomplish more by working hard and putting in more hours, but there's still a limit, right?
100%.
So I would say like, you don't want to spread yourself too thin and go really hard at something and see how it pans out. And I heard a great quote a long time ago. I cannot remember who it was, but the individual said, sometimes people get caught up and overwhelmed with like wanting to do so much and not feeling like they can accomplish it. And he said, you can do everything you want. You just can't do it all at once, right? So it's like, what's the first thing you want to do? Just start doing that thing. And maybe you do it for 6 months and then you like it or you don't. And then you move on to the next thing, right? And then the next thing. So don't be overwhelmed. If there's 50 things you want to accomplish in like your life for the next 10 years or whatever, you don't have to try and do it all at once. It's like, just pick the top things, start there, work hard at them, put in a lot of effort, do your best. And then whether it pans out or not, move on to the next thing and keep going. And you'll be able to do a lot more than you think.
Yeah, no, that definitely resonates with me. I'm the scattered brain type of person, just shiny object syndrome all the way. and that's something I've been working on myself. So really awesome to see how you're, that's one lesson that you would want to teach yourself. So
Definitely.
thank you again for all your time. It was a great pleasure getting to connect with you and like share your story. I hope we can definitely have people reach out to you and try to expand further on these conversations, because you have so much to teach and share with other people that I really want to encourage everyone to reach out. And to leave the audience off with a friendly reminder is that relentless heroes become legendary. So please join the Discord, connect with Jared, and until next time, peace.